My mission is to position brands and to facilitate earning opportunities by helping them identify and strategically communicate their what, their who, and their why. I make sure you understand the play. Here's your assist. Understand the play. The business point guard. Understand the play. The business point guard. Understand the play. He gave me an assist.
You're listening to Understanding the Play with Demetrius L. Brown, a.k.a. the Business Point Guard.
Hey, you tuned in to Understanding the Play. I am the Business Point Guard, and my job is to make sure you understand the play. Make sure that you understand your business, but first understand you. A lot of people, they go into business, but they don't understand themselves, and they wonder why business don't work for them. Your business take the nature of you. So that's why your business is not working. But I have a friend, I could call him a friend. I met him in the domain community. And from that, he kept in touch. He's always sending me things. I got something in the mail one day, a big package. I was like, I never ordered anything. You know, where's this package? And when I finally looked at it, Richard Pierce, I said, okay. He sent me his background. Look at his background. He sent me that picture to put up on the it's a dope picture. You know, in the hip hop world, you know, we say the word dope, but it's a great picture. But I have the honor to have Richard Pierce on here with me today on Understanding the Play. And Richard, that's a big thing for you too, is making sure people understand what they're doing in the business realm. But before we go into that, introduce yourself and let people know who you are.
Absolutely. Thank you for the introduction. It's also an honor to be here on the show. And basically, I've been a professional small business advisor since 2005. I've worked with over 900 medium and small size companies. Success leaves proof, and I've developed some frameworks from what I've learned from people that have been successful in business, and even what not to do. What not to do is just as vital as what to do. So basically, I guide people using proven frameworks on how to get out of their own way. And I think you said something a little bit about it earlier, but I use the phrase, speed the leader, speed the follower. So you got to get your mindset right first, and then that can help build your business, making more money, working less hours. That's my primary focus when I work with business owners. But it's good. It's good to be here, and looking forward to sharing some valuable insights that people can take away today and use immediately. Some practical frameworks where they can execute and get some better results.
So, Richard, what was it? What was that one thing that triggered you while you were sitting somewhere? It might have been the coffee shop, on your couch, that said, I need to start helping people build better brands, build better businesses. What was that moment? Take me back to that moment to you say, this is what I'm going to start doing.
Absolutely. Great question. So I had a recruiting company that I had started 14 years before. And when that recruiting business, bringing in top talent is the biggest asset that any company can have. And I had worked, and I had worked with, companies in different industries, and I would often hear best practices and challenges that they were going through. And I'm sort of soaking this up. My expertise was bringing them talent, but not all the other business hats that they would wear. And these best practices would be used in one industry. Then I would go to a different client, they'd have a similar challenge, but they had never heard of this best practice used in a different industry. But you can just make a few modifications, and they transfer over. And then I would suggest it to them, and they would say, "Oh, you're really smart." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay," because I didn't know that there was value in this, right? I'm like, "Yeah, I just picked it up from somebody that knew more about it than I did, and I just happened to remember it." And then I had a recruiting client in 2005 that came to me, and he said, "You've brought us a lot of great talent over the years. If I paid you, would you help me with my other business challenges? Well, Demetrius, he said the operative word, and it's like a dog when the cheese wrapper comes out. If I right, right, if I paid you, I'm like, okay. And I didn't at the time. I told him, I says, well, I don't know how I would do that, but he says, well, we'll figure it out together. So it was just that encouraging words from that existing client from my recruiting firm that, said he would, we would figure it out together. And then I just had a lot of introductions and clients already in the business world and just started moving forward. I think that's the key, is just have that vision and just take some forward action with that. But that's a great question.
Oh yeah, and that word pay is a big trigger. It's like a missile, setting a missile off. That word pay.
Yes, absolutely.
So so now, even as you worked with your bigger clients, and I'm not sure how many small businesses, mom and pop, because I think when we say small businesses, we tie in the mom and pop businesses
Yes.
too, but I don't consider those small businesses yet, you know what I'm saying? Because again, most of them haven't reached the pinnacle. Now, have you worked with mom and pop businesses, and
Yes.
challenge?
Yes. So I guess the first thing is you have to define what a small business is. And that's a very wide range depending on who you talk to. So everybody comes up with their own definition. My definition of a small business is when the owner is still doing technical work. So for example, if it's a dentist, are they still doing dental work? If it's a plumber, are they still doing plumbing work even though they have employees? To me, that is a small business, quote unquote. So I've worked with small businesses.
So
Sure.
would that be small business or self-employed? Do you consider that being the same thing?
So they overlap. So self-employed, I guess would be like a tax. I'm not a CPA. Could be a tax status. So you could have a small business and consider yourself self-employed. Yet I would look at it. You have a business if you have an entity like an LLC, a corporation of some type.
Good breakdown.
And then you could, which is a great question. So you could be a solopreneur, which means you have no employees, but you could have contractors. You still have a business. So a business falls into many different categories. You could have a side business where you work a day job and then you also have a business. My focus has been people, this is their main source of income when they have a business. They could be a solopreneur, they could have employees, they could have 5 employees or 50 employees or anything of that nature, but it could still be mom and pop though. So that's been my primary focus, everything from solopreneurs, mom and pop, ranging from 5 to 50 employees is kind of a sweet spot. And that's the bread and butter of the American economy. I mean, it's been the backbone since the beginning, since 1776, and it still is today.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you broke that down. Self-employed and small businesses; those are two different labels and two different areas. And again, go in a little bit more in depth into that so that people can get the understanding of being self-employed, because you still can be a business owner and self-employed. But break it down a little bit more so people can get that understanding.
Sure. So one of the keys to being successful in business is you have to understand what operating leverages that you have. And I'll give you an example. There's 3 very specific operating leverages. One of them is your internal technologies. So your internal technologies in your business are your own recipes. How do you actually do business? So look at it like a restaurant. How do you have your recipes? Look at it like if you're a plumber, how do you install a hot water heater? If you're a tree, a person that does tree service, how do you cut that tree down? Those are your own internal technologies. They're going to differ from business to business. That's one leverage, is your internal technologies. Another one is your culture and your talent, the people that work for you. Big difference there, so your culture. And if you're a solopreneur with no employees, what conversations do you have with yourself? which is a whole separate conversation we could have there, no pun intended. And then the third leverage item is your sales and marketing. Nothing happens until you bring a profitable sale in.
Yes.
So when you break down the different categories, if you're self-employed, if you're a solopreneur, or even if you have employees, you have to know what these leverages are in your business and master these fundamentally also. Like, how do you bring sales in? Can you do this predictably? How do you retain your clients? How do you exceed your clients' expectations? So there are some constants that happen if you're a solopreneur or if you're a person with employees. I think we got maybe a little off track there, but the self-employed, the biggest thing I would say with that is if you have employees, then I would you still have a business. I mean, do you call that self-employed? I would consider that more of a business owner. So I think it's more of a mindset item there. Great question.
Like more title wise. Now you broke it down to 3 categories, and I know the technology, the culture, and the sales. And listening to the middle one, to me, is one of the most important area, which is setting the culture and tone for your business. Because if you don't have a tone, if you don't have a culture, you don't know how to sell. I mean, how do you know how to sell, who to approach, and things like that? And I think a lot of businesses fail for setting the culture in the beginning when they start. What do you think on that one?
Yes, the culture of the business is it's a widely used term. So I want to look at it as this: it's like the personality that your business has. Everybody's walked into, let's say, a restaurant, for example, and you can tell that the staff is happy, or you can tell they're not so happy, right? And the way to do that is to build the culture is through optimal leadership. So optimal leadership, when you have employees, is inspiring somebody. When you lead somebody optimally, it's the energy within them that you have to bring out in them. It's not management. Management takes a lot of energy and it's very controlling. You don't get a very engaged employee when you try to manage somebody. You have to do optimal leadership. And again, it starts with yourself. Be the leader, be the follower. I work a lot with clients on their leadership, and it starts with their leading themselves before they can lead somebody else. So that's the key to culture. Another item too is having a mission statement. And when I say a mission statement, this is not your textbook boilerplate mission statement. So for example, if I have a client, let's say if I have a client that is in the automotive repair business, as an example, I would say our mission is to be the best auto repair shop in the world. If you're going to have a podcast, you want to be the best podcast in the world. So there's a difference there. So again, it first starts with the mindset of we're going to be the best at something. We may not be there now, yet we're determined and we're going to do everything absolutely positively necessary to be the best at whatever we're doing. And doing that, that's the foundation that you set to build that culture that attracts the A++ players. It attracts them and retains them because the best want to be part of something great and so, something incredible. It doesn't matter what the industry is, right? It doesn't even matter what the industry is, but that's going to bring in your top players. And that's an absolute game changer when it comes to a business, having the top players in there.
No, that's good. And I tell people every day, like, what's the personality of your business? And you know, what is the personality? And if you're not setting the tone, especially if you're the business owner, and I think a lot of business owners, and I've been here before, we get so stressed and our business take on the stress, it take on so much, and we're not sitting back and like, okay, what is the culture of our business? What do we want this to look like? And I think if we define that, we won't be as so stressful running our business. So, but yeah, no, that's good.
Correct. If I could add to that stress, a lot of business owners feel stress. In the definition of stress, it's the feeling of lack of control. The feeling of lack of control. Think about it, because if you've ever been unfortunate to be driving on ice in a car, and I've done this, and you could be going 5 miles an hour, and if that car is sliding on that ice and brakes doesn't work, nothing works, you have stress. But you could be driving 65 miles an hour on a beautiful sunny day, and if you're in control of the car, there's no stress. So the key to removing the stress is you have to use a proven framework. And that's what I have found to work so many hundreds of times with clients, is having a proven framework to put you more in control of that business. And that gives you the freedom that you were looking for when you started your business. So that's the key to that. And I'd be glad to share. I have a framework for reducing that stress. If you go to my website, gatewaybusiness.com, and I'm sure there'll be a link here too. There's a framework there that's a visual that will give you the recipe for reducing stress in your business. It's different than chaos, though, because wealth is created by optimizing chaos. Wealth is created by optimizing chaos. So you want to have
on that thought right there. I want you to hold it right there. I want you to stay right there. Don't leave that position right there. If you just tuned in, you're tuned in to Understanding the Play, and I am the Business Point God. And we have Richard Pierce, who has joined us today, man, with some great nuggets. So if you missed the first part of the show, hey, it's all right. We are going to replay this. You can go to the website, businesspointgod.com. But we're going to take a break. We're going to go into this segment, how to be financially stable. And that's a great thing for businesses. We got to know how to be financially stable, becoming and maintaining that position. So we'll be right back.
The soundtrack to your next level's here. The new single, Assist, by the Business Point Guard. Here's your assist. The Business Point Guard, he gave me an assist. The Business Point God, he gave me an assist. The song Assist is motivation taken to the next level with tools that'll help you go from great to greater, and a hype beat produced by Skaz Digger. Add the hottest motivational song on the planet, Assist, to your favorite playlist today. Go to businesspointguard.com and download the soundtrack to your next level.
And if you just tuned in, I'm telling you, you missed some great nuggets. Richard, man, he has been giving us some valuable nuggets, some great information, breaking things down. And this is 2023. And this is the year I tell everybody, don't go into nothing without understanding what you're going into. It might take you a little bit longer to do it, but I'd rather for you to go in with an understanding and get something wrong and you know where you can pivot at than not going in without an understanding and you don't know where to pivot. But Richard, before we went into break, I hope you remember where you left off at, because you was about to break something serious down, but I'm gonna let you continue to do that. Go ahead.
Absolutely, Demetrius. Again, it's an honor to be on Business Point Guard today. And we were talking about reducing stress in your business. And stress is caused by lack of control. So, and it's separate from chaos, because wealth is created by optimizing chaos. You want chaos in your business, you just want to be in control of it. That's the key. And in order to do this, you want to have structure, everything from as simple as a daily calendar to a CRM. And I think the main structure is the one that you have with yourself. The average person has 40 to 70,000 conversations a day with themselves. 40 to 70,000. There's a lot of conversations going on, right? And so what you want to look at here is, which one of these conversations are limiting beliefs? Is there a limiting belief? Is there a bias? Is there a filter from your past that's holding you back from the present? And that is one of the items that can create that quote unquote stress, because you're not allowing yourself to take the necessary action steps to reach what your vision and what your real biggest mission of your business is. So those are some items to consider. is, and the way you know if you're having limiting beliefs, are there actions that you know you should be taking, yet you're not taking because you're talking yourself out of it? And sometimes there's other people that talk yourselves out of those items also. So I think that's the biggest item there, is just to look at, what can I do to move my business ahead every day, consistently.
And that word consistent is, I think people take that word lightly. And I think when people hear the word consistent, they always connect it to a big ticket item. And it's the smallest thing that you start being consistent in builds you up to that big thing, that big item. I mean, why do you think people put a big ticket to that instead of saying, hey, I'm just gonna make up my bed and be consistent with that, or I'm gonna shut the, why do you think people always want to tie a big action item to that word?
Great question. I think one of the items is, people work on something called subjective versus objective. So subjective is open to interpretation, and objective is specific. It has a detail, has a number to it. There's no interpretation. 2 plus 2 is 4. By, no matter who you are, what country you're in, it's the same number, right?
Yeah.
So to be consistent, you have to use what I call the rule of 70. So the rule of 70 is, if I can improve something 1% every day for 70 days consistently, it's 100% better. And I'll repeat that. So it's 1% improvement every day, done consistently. It's 100% better. And this is important too, because a lot of people, like you said, they look for that big ticket sale or some huge monumental. Let's say, for example, you want to hire another employee in your business. You want to hire like a top employee, for example. That could seem insurmountable sometimes, especially if you hired people and haven't had results, or things of that nature. So you have to just think, what's 1% of hiring that person? What is that? Can I do that today? I could probably do it before noon if I really put my mind to it. So that's one of the keys with consistency. And it's just like if you went to, like, it's the first of the year, so everybody now is like, I need to get healthier, lose some weight, things of that nature. And if you have to lose a large amount of weight, well, that can seem overwhelming. Well, let's break it down. What's 1% that you need to lose? Can you make your nutrition 1% better? So I think that's the key, is to take those items and just break them into smaller, action-oriented items there.
So I know you're big on sales and marketing, and structure, but getting to a business structure, we must have a personal structure. And how many times you see, when you're talking to a person, you read that person like, wow, this ain't gonna work because their personal just ain't right. Do you see that a lot?
I do, and I work with clients on that a lot, because I call that the me versus me. There's this internal battle that you have with yourself, people of every level, and you have to win that battle of me versus me first before you can really become successful in business. And I break it down, everything from, a lot of times I ask people, this is one question I ask all the time when I first start working with a client. I say, who's your number one client? And the majority of the time, right? The majority of the time, they'll give me somebody's name that pays them the most money. And I'm like, no, this is like a trick question. Who is your number one client? And then they'll kind of get it. Sometimes they'll be like, well, it's me. Exactly. So the key is, you have to put yourself before the business. A lot of business owners, they dedicate so much time to the business, they neglect their own health, physically and mentally, right? So you have to, like, what nutrition, something as simple as hydration. Again, back to the fundamentals. Do you hydrate enough? According to the Mayo Clinic, the average male should drink 1 gallon of water a day. The average female, it's 3 quarts a day of water.
Mm.
So, right. And people at first don't realize that to be your number one client, that means putting yourself before the business. And when you do that, this directly ties into be the leader, be the follower. Do you eat healthy? Do you have structure in your meals? And all these items are absolute game changers in your business. So that's one of the keys to having that structure. And again, winning that battle of me versus me is putting yourself as number one. And the business, you'll multiply your profits. Back to the stress, you'll reduce your stress just by doing some of these simple elements. And that's a great question. I spent a lot of time working with my clients to have them make those changes in their mindset so they treat themselves better. And again, as a result, your profits will multiply.
Yeah, and like before that episode, probably like 6 years ago, I wrote an article, "You Are Your Biggest Asset." And I asked people, and I started asking people, what is your biggest asset? And of course, like you said, they say their cars, their house, and different things. Like I told people, you are your biggest asset, and then people started to get it, like my students, I teach them, I said, you're the brand. I said, everything else you do is a product of you. I said, you got to focus on building you as the brand, and everything else will come later. Because I use this analogy. I use this example. You remember McDonald's used to have the big and tasty back in the day?
Yes.
Nobody knew when that went off the menu. It wasn't successful for them. They thought, okay, well, since we got the hot side on one side, the cold side, everybody's going to like this. But it was more work to put the burger together. And, it didn't do good. So, but you never knew when that burger went off the menu, because that wasn't the brand. It was just the product of them. And like I asked my wife the other day, because she was like, yeah, that used to be my favorite burger. I said, do you realize that it been off the market for at least about 15 years now? That's like, no. So when you make your business or whatever you're doing, you make that king or queen and it fail, that's what your brand failed. But if you build your brand and you build a solid brand foundational, and and that product fail, you're still good to move on to build upon your foundation.
Very true. Yeah, building that brand is key. Building that brand, and don't be dependent on one product or defining yourself like that example with McDonald's. You don't want to define yourself on one product. So great point. Very true.
So now I always hear every business people, and I know me and you, we're business people. We talk to different business people every day, but we always hear the question, what comes first, sales or marketing? What comes first? And it's a big debate there. It's a huge debate. So let me ask you, and I'm looking at your pyramid in the back. You got marketing/sales. So, and I'm gonna share it also too. I'm gonna share the pyramid also. If you're just listening, if you're just tuning in and you're listening, I do have Richard on video. So when you hear me say, I'm looking at the video too. So if you just tuned in, you're tuned in to Understanding the Play. I am the business point guard, and we have Richard Pierce, one of the great business people out here. Gatewaybusiness.com is his website. And I'm telling you, listening to him now, you probably gained a lot of knowledge and not a lot of momentum, a lot of fuel to go to that next level. But if you go to his website, which is gatewaybusiness.com, I'm telling you, it's going to spark something in you to be like, okay, wow, I haven't looked at it from this standpoint. But Richard, what comes first to you, marketing or sales?
Profitable sales will solve 99% of all business problems. Profitable sales will solve 99% of all business problems. So marketing leads to sales, but what you want to do, and again, this is part of speed is money, is you want to make it in the least amount of time and also have the highest return on investment. So a lot of people make marketing a lot more complicated than it should be. And the key is to remove all the unnecessary moving parts so that you can make a more profitable sale in less time with less elements involved. So great question. And I think a lot of people, they shy away from the quote unquote sales because we've all, went to the used car dealer or someplace where there was a pushy salesperson, right? So, but you have to look at it. Sales is very critical. That customer acquisition is very critical in business. And the best way to look at it is it's more about developing that relationship with that client than having just the transaction itself. So they're both very closely connected, like you shared with everybody on my framework. It's marketing/sales. So you have to have the marketing to get the sales, but you want them to work as much in harmony as possible and realize they're connected together. Great question.
Yeah, I believe sales and marketing is the leg. You can't have one. I mean, you can't have one leg and hop around. You have to have both the legs to be able to walk and run smoothly. So
Exactly.
sales and marketing, they go hand in hand. But the funny thing, having that conversation, it's like having a conversation on religion or politics. It get that that deep and serious, and we're like, okay. But everybody is saying the same thing in the room, but nobody to just really sit back and be like, okay, hold on, we're saying the same thing, but
different perspectives, different viewpoints, right? That's right. Politics, religion, all those fun things. Yes.
Yeah. So, but you got to know you can't be afraid to sell, and I know a lot of people are afraid, and I actually marketing is still a form of selling, because again,
Yes.
you have to present it that people will say, oh wow, okay, they still have to buy into what you're doing to get to that sale. So it's all the same marketing and sales. So now, Richard, you work with a whole bunch of people, big clients, little clients, but who's working with Richard?
Great question. The people that work with me, they all of my clients, their number one priority is their family. And the reason I share that with you is because a lot of people focus on demographics of their clients, where they live, their age, their education level, male, female, what type of car they drive, whatever those items are. What you want to focus on is what's called the psychographic profile. The psychographic profile is their thoughts, their values, and their beliefs. So the clients working with me, their number one priority is their family above everything else. And when it comes to their business, what their primary focus is, they want to multiply their profits, not just increase their profits, they want to multiply them. And they want to do this while they're working less hours with designing a business that they can have the option to sell at some time to create generational wealth. So that's the client that works with me most successfully.
That's good. Now, I wasn't asking from that perspective, but I'm glad you answered that. But who's helping Richard go to that next level? Who are you learning from?
Oh, great. Oh, I see. Great. Yeah. Even better question. So who helps me is my clients. So when you work, I currently, have 28 clients, and I learned so much working with them in their businesses because you learn various elements depending on the business, where they are in their journey. And I just soak that information up. It's like a evolving, ongoing case study with all the different elements. So I just have that radar on. I'm like a sponge, and it's like being an athlete. You get better at something, then you can get a little bit better, and then you can even fine tune that, then you can just no matter take it to the next level. So that's where I learn. It's actually like a laboratory. I'm in this laboratory with a wide variety of business owners and learning from their experiences and their mistakes, their successes, and just soaking in and making adjustments. And then so I implement those frameworks into my business, and then I share that with other business owners as I work with them also.
That's good. And if you just tuned in, you're tuned in to Understanding the Play. I am the business point guard, and we have Richard Pierce, who's been dropping some great nuggets and giving some great advice. We're going to a break. We got another segment coming up. Yes, I'm giving you segments. I'm giving you things that's going to take you from great to greater, because again, this year there's no excuse. It should never been any excuse years before, but I want to make sure if you're listening to me that I'm not feeding into your excuses. I want to make sure I'm taking away all your excuses for you going to that next level, because it's all about next level. Richard mentioned something a few minutes ago about the clients that he worked with. Their focus is building generational wealth. And again, we owed it to our family, the generation that comes after us, even the community, to make sure we set up the play for them that they can be successful. But we're going to take a break. And when we come back, Richard, I want to know, what's your top 5 books that you read business wise and just for fun, just to let your hair down? So when we come back, we're gonna hear from Richard on what he loved to read, and you know what, let's throw something else in there, what he liked to listen to music wise. I know Richard he can't just sit at the desk all day. I know he's dancing and he got to be moving around to something. So, but hey, let's go to this break and we'll be right back.
Let's go.
Just when you thought FUBU Radio was all about the music,
Turn it up right now.
yeah, it's about this free too.
Hot on the street.
Join the FUBU Radio VIP Rewards Club, and you could score some exclusive FUBU swag, including free eyewear, tees, loungewear, and more. All you have to do is sign up for your chance to win. FUBU, celebrating 30 years of black excellence in hip-hop culture. For full terms and conditions, visit FUBURadio.com. FUBU Radio, tap into the movement.
We are back. I hope that you are understanding the play, because Richard been throwing some alley hoops, he been throwing some great assists. Man, you should have some 3-pointers, you should have some dunks, you should have some great scoring going on right now from the assists that Richard has given you. But now I just want to know, Richard, what are you reading? What is your top 5 books that you read to get you to that next level or to help you grow?
Great question. I'm a big fan of books written by military officers like Navy SEALs. Jocko has one called Extreme Ownership, and David Goggins has one called Can't Hurt Me, and he has a new book that just came out, I believe, like last month in December. I believe it's called Never Ending. So don't quote me on the title, but any book written by somebody in battle, because there's a lot of correlation between business and war. So I would definitely recommend the books written by the military people in the military. That would be the biggest thing by far. And personally, I just love like racing and strength training. So I'm either watching videos or I'm training myself, trying to get even stronger or healthier, things of that nature. And that would be kind of for fun, the if you call them a book, but I guess it's like either videos or doing something physically myself is my fun times and everything.
So what is that when you want to celebrate, you want to let your hair down? What's that go-to song that you go to and you just turn up and just smile and dance around and be like, whoo? What's that one song that comes to your mind?
Great question. One song that comes to mind. That's a great question. Great question. So the one song that comes to mind, I'm trying to think of one, obviously. I don't know if I have any. I think more of like just high energy, like if it was old school, and this is going real old school. I'm not the youngest guy anymore. So I think something like George Thorogood, Bad to the Bone,
okay.
something of that nature. Chuck Berry. I mean, I live in Missouri, so Chuck Berry is from Missouri. So anything, Johnny B. Good, again, that's really old school. So just something that's just pure, simple, basic music, I think would be the answer there. But great question. But I think everybody needs to have that too, and even playing something in the morning. That I listen to ZZ Top, and again, these are all old school type music, just to kind of get you pumped and get you focused on winning that day and winning that hour.
And that's good. Excuse me. You just said, waking up listening to something, and I tell people, starting your day, put something in you that's gonna set the tone for your whole day. That's going to motivate you to do your best the whole day. And again, I asked you those questions because at certain parts of the day we gotta let our hair down before we get back to business, But I want to get back to business. Now you have a image, you have a pyramid that you share, and just break that pyramid down and what representation of your business, and why do you mail this out? Because you print it up and you mail it out to key people that you believe that are important to
Yes.
your movement or important to business. So break that pyramid down, please.
Great question. So the pyramid is what is called a visual process. It's called a visual process. People are visual learners. It gives you credibility, and people will retain the information more when it's presented through a visual process. And again, people listening can go to gatewaybusiness.com and you'll see several of my frameworks there. And if you look at the outside circle has three desired outcomes. That's what we want to focus on. One of them is your profits. The second one is freedom, controlling when you want to work, how much you want to work, and even the types of clients that you work with. And the third one is sustainability, creating a business that will run without you being there. You really have a business when you can make money without having to actually be at that business all the time. So that's on the very outside of the circle. And then on the inside of the triangle, there are the three operating leverages, and these will allow you to accomplish more by working less. And those are the marketing / sales, the internal technologies, and that's technologies of how you run your business. It's not necessarily like the technology computer items that you use. And then at the very foundation of that is your culture and your talent in your business, starting with you. So those are all leverage items that will, again, allow you to accomplish more by in working less hours and even getting a higher return on your investment in your business. And then the other items in there are the mental toughness and physical strength. And I spend a lot of time working with clients on getting those items in alignment so that you get your mind and your body always on your side. That's the key, is to get your mind and your body always on your side. It's an absolute game changer. And then the business model is something different than a business plan. So your business model is how you create, you deliver, and you capture value to your ideal clients. This is a key item when I work on with clients, is staying more focused on your primary business. And a lot of business owners, they have a type of ADHD. You do too many things. You chase too many squirrels. If anybody's been there, raise your hand. We've all done it. It's part of being a business owner. So exactly, I'm going to raise both hands. And so part of the business model is actually laser target on who can make you the most money with the least amount of headache. So if you've ever had clients that you made a very little money or maybe lost money, that was a lot of headache, that means your business model isn't lined up properly. If there's too much, right? If there's too much competition, quote unquote, out there, that means your business model is not fine-tuned enough. If you're not predictably acquiring clients and retaining them, then your business model needs work. So that's what the business model is there. The next level, if you look at that, that is where you have to have all three of those items in line, is the revenue, the capacity, and the cash flow. Those items have to be in alignment horizontally. If not, it will pull you down. Everybody says the proverbial next level. That's where you have to have those three items in the same vertical alignment, or your capacity will pull down your cash flow. Your cash flow will pull down your revenue. They're two different items too, cash flow and revenue. And then the next one up is your talent. I put it on there twice. It's so important. Having a great team is an absolute game changer in business. So the talent, I break those into 3 items, 3 different categories. So the first is a job. These are people that the acronym for job is just over broke, JOB. So these employees will cost you money. They're high maintenance, very low productivity. You're better off to just pay them money, not even show up. You'd be ahead of the game. We've all had those. We've all had those employees, right?
Yeah.
So the next step up is the career. These are people that will make you money, but they're still trading their time for money. If somebody offers them another shinier penny or a little bit more money, guess what they do? They go to that place, right? The next is the internal franchise. And this is a term that I've used for a couple of decades. And the internal franchise is an employee that looks at themselves as a business within a business. They will walk through walls, they'll show up early, they'll work late. An internal franchise will make you wealthy. So if you ever been, I'll give you an example of an internal franchise. If you ever been to a restaurant, Demetrius, and the waitress gets your order spot on perfect. She does great service. She brings you, if you drink tea, she brings you extra tea so you never run out of refreshments. And then when you go back, you may even ask for that same wait staff. Yeah. You ever been to a restaurant like that? Oh, yeah. Right? So that's an example of an internal franchise. What would happen to your bottom line if you had a whole team like that? Game changer. Oh, yeah. Right? Game changer. Exactly right. Exactly right. So the next one up is the next level. And what you have to look at here is, are you treating the symptom or the cause? You know, I go through an element with a lot of my clients is called your 5 whys. So your 5 whys are, what is something you would run into a burning building for? What is something that you believe in enough, you know, that you would run into a burning building for? And that's something that, you know, when you have 5 of them, and you won't have them at first, it takes time. It's an exercise I go through with my clients on a regular basis. But when you have these 5 whys and you write them down at least once a day, you will hold yourself to a higher standard consistently. Back to the word consistency. And you will also do things out of your comfort zone that are holding you back from what you're currently capable of in your business, right? And the whys give you your passion. That's that energy, and then that gives you that momentum, and then you can go to that proverbial next level, and that allows you to reach your vision. So I kind of cliff noted this, believe it or not, as much as possible. But each one of these segments, when I work with clients, I break it down so they can implement it. I give them action steps. Accountability. I have frameworks where they hold themselves accountable and make breakthroughs in all those components. So that's just, again, kind of a cliff note summary. And I'd be glad to go more in depth on future shows, or anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to work with them and everything.
Yeah. And Richard, we're going to have to bring you back, man. We're going to have to bring you back because, again, you're dropping some good nuggets, and you're breaking it down in a way, again, that people, they need to understand. And again, going into this next, I call it season, because we have seasons of our lives. People have to have full understanding of what they're doing and what they're hearing, because again, everything is surface, but there's something under that surface, you know. So we got to bring you back. But before we close out, how do people get in touch with Richard? And I'm gonna tell you this. I bring people on the show that's really helping people, even if they didn't get a dime. And Richard, I've been seeing you, I've been following you, and you share. I mean, honestly, you go on your site, that's probably about a couple of 100,000 worth of information that just is visible on your site. So Richard is not this money hungry person who has an understanding of business and they gonna sell every piece of information because they don't want you to get to this next level. But Richard, his personality, he wants you to get to that next level. So I want you to share how people can get in touch with you, how they can work with you, and just how they can get in contact with you.
Yes, absolutely. As Demetrius shared, I have a lot of frameworks, information to share with people on my website. It's gatewaybusiness.com. Gateway, and I'm not the best speller, so I spell this out for people. It's GATEWAY business.com. And there's a link on there. You can set a Zoom meeting with me. No charge, no obligation. I am firm 1,000% believer in long-term relationships. So you meet with me, bring your challenge, and the meeting lasts an hour, and I'll give you some nuggets that you can take away immediately. And that would be the best way to get to know each other.
That's good. And again, the website, if you're looking at the video, the website is below. And again, if you're listening, you go to our site, businesspointguard.com, and you'll see the website connecting you straight to gatewaybusiness.com to see more of what Richard has. But Richard, man, we got to get you doing a segment, man, on here. We got to get you doing, I don't know, a 3-minute segment every show, you know what I'm saying? And people, and it's leading back to you. Everything, it's going to lead right back to you, man. So, we got to get you doing that, man.
It would be an honor. It'd be an absolute honor. And just to help people out. Again, there's, like John Rockefeller said, it's not the economy, it's your economy. So that's so important, right? It's so important to keep in mind in 2023 and going forward that you can be very proactive and make a big difference in your business and your profits, which again ripples into you can help out your family more and do more for others. So that'd be our main focus, having those nuggets so people can take those action steps to control their own business destiny.
And if you're married like me, mama bad need more money. So
yes.
Mama bad always see something new she wants. So you definitely got to continue to make money, yes, and grow. And like I said, kids wise, make sure your kids are great and straight. But Richard, man, I want to thank you for being on the show. Man,
absolute honor, my friend.
We got to do something around domains too, man. So we didn't get into that, y'all. Me and Richard, we how many domains you own, Richard?
Over 1,000. I almost hesitate to say sometimes.
I dropped down to 600 now, so
yes.
I had to drop down a little bit to 600, but that's a whole nother show. Yeah, Richard and I, we own a whole bunch of domains, so we own the gateway and the door to a lot of you all's business. So but that's a whole different show, man. But
yeah, we could definitely do a show on that, because that could be learning for people to build their brand stronger. It's a definite game changer when it comes to building a brand.
Yes. So again, thank you, Richard, man. And y'all heard it here. Richard, he will start doing a 3-minute segment for us. We don't know that we maybe call it Gateway Business Segue. I was like the Gateway Segue. So, but we're gonna figure it out, think about it, and you can hear Richard once a week, and you can go and you can go knock on his door once a week, So again, hey, thank you all. If you just tuned in, you're listening to Understanding the Play. I am the Business Point Guard. And why do I go by the Business Point Guard? Because I always give people an assist, a pass that will take their business to the next level. So again, I am the point guard, the one that runs the team. I have to see it from all angles, from offense to defense. So I need for you to do this. Going into your tomorrow, no, not even your tomorrow, but your next moment, understand what is your God-given purpose. Understand why you're doing what you are doing. And I know you probably said because I'm great at it, I'm talented in it, but it still might not be your purpose. Just because you're talented in it, that don't mean you should be doing it. So just take your next moment and make sure that you are aligned into your purpose and you're doing what you should be doing. And again, thank you for joining us. Until next time.